allow the teacher to resign without filing an official police report or notifying the state education board about the allegations against him.
Team 12's I-Team reporter Joe Dana broke this story. And Joe, you've been looking into what the officer on campus knew about this incident and what campus officers across Arizona should be doing if they come across similar situations.
District officials claim administrators at Casteel High School had the blessing of the school resource officer when they made the decision in early 2021 not to file an official police report against a teacher who was at minimum accused of violating the personal space of several girls. What this school resource officer knew and what is expected of him is at the heart of the case.
We do certainly train and encourage SROs to keep good notes on things that they believe are critical, not even necessarily of a criminal nature, but things that they may need to refer back to.
Mo Kennedy, executive director of the National Association of School Resource Officers, but the school district claims they worked collaboratively with the SRO, and together they agreed allegations did not warrant a criminal investigation. But a separate investigation by Queen Creek PD concluded the officer was in the meeting. The allegations were not reported to Officer Lyons. There is no documentation or evidence to support the school reporting the allegations to law enforcement.
I was able to pinpoint that Officer Lyons was in the meeting with staff on the 11th, February 11th, 2021. However, they did not disclose specific details of the allegations to include any names. Clicks writes that a general statement of a complaint by one student against a teacher was mentioned during the meeting. The facts of the investigation showed that Officer Lyons did not know the allegations. Any indications that Officer Lyons knew the allegations and failed to file a report is untrue and did not occur, Clicks wrote. School records do not document what was discussed. The problem is that available records do not detail what school administrators allegedly told the SRO. In fact, an email that circulated among administrators about the scheduled meeting did not even include the SRO. A representative of administrators in Arizona says documentation is vital when students make allegations.
Worked another month before 2 more students complained. So why didn't the school ever file a police report? Kennedy says it would have been appropriate.
What you're describing, the scenario you're laying out, is moving from misconduct to potential criminal behavior. So can there be an investigation that ensues and interviews done? Yes. Is it going to be the SRO that leads that? It really depends on each individual department.
Girl A also described another incident to MCSO in which she said Power allegedly put his hand on her leg near her knee and her thigh. She said he slipped his finger through a rip in her jean, according to MCSO. After the interview, detectives attempted to interview staff at the school and district. School officials referred detectives to an attorney for the district. The attorney did not respond to correspondences, according to MCSO. Since there was no cooperation from Casteel High School regarding Mr. Power or the investigation, detectives contacted the Arizona Board of Education, AZBUE, and informed them of the investigation as well as information regarding Mr. Power as a teacher in Arizona, said MCSO spokesperson Joaquin Enriquez.
Understanding at that time that there was anything prohibiting Mr. Power from going to look for another job as a teacher using his certification?
No, I'm sure he could go find somewhere else to work, but if he had retired, and I'm sure there's rules around that too, but no, he could have gone and found another employment, but I never received a reference call or check.
Did it concern you that the district had decided, rather than terminating him, to let him quote unquote retire, and he might be out there the next day looking for a job at another school?
And that wasn't really my concern after he retired.
You, not the team, have any knowledge of whether the school or district provided any supervision of Mr. Power when he returned to the classroom?
No.
Do you believe classifying Mr. Power's departure from the school as a retirement is accurate?
Yes, because that is what he stated to Dr. Falloon, and that was reported from HR to the district. So specifically, the term retirement was what was used.
MCSO tells 12 News Power is also the subject of an ongoing investigation by the Phoenix Police Department regarding the alleged sexual assault of a minor. Asked about that case, Power's attorney told 12 News Power had nothing more to add to his original statement. Power has also worked as a teacher in Bakersfield, California, Sierra Linda High School in Phoenix, the Gilbert School District, and as a theater coach for youth.
It's the embarrassment and shame that this young woman felt, even though she did nothing wrong, that gives you an idea of how tough it can be for someone to speak out who's been the target of alleged mistreatment.
I didn't want students to blame me for the reason he got fired.
Grace Kimmel graduated from Casteel High School last year. Looking back, she says she saw several red flags from her theater teacher, then 66-year-old Patrick Power.
And I was up at his desk trying to pull up something from my email. And I don't know, I guess I was struggling or something. So he decided to put his hand over my hand while I was using the mouse, while my hand was sandwiched between his hand and the mouse.
There were visits to her workplace.
He would show up to my job and he would just order a water. And I was always working the drive-through and he would just stop by and he'd be like, "Oh, I'm just saying hi. I know you work here."
During the holidays, Power gave her a stuffed animal.
And I just kind of set it off as "Oh, he just got this for me because I'm president." But it was weird that he got me this big stuffed animal.
Then, while on a field trip,
While I was sitting alone and he asked me if I wanted to go to a gun show with him.
Grace considered complaining to the school.
I'd been in the program for years. I was president of the club. I didn't want to be the reason that this teacher got fired in the middle of a musical that we were putting on.
But she wrote a complaint to administrators.
And then he retired the next day.
What Grace did not know then was a month earlier, a younger girl complained to the school about Power, prompting a school investigation. It documented 5 junior high age girls who gave the school varying accounts of Power, making unwanted physical contact on their waist, back, and hands. One girl cried, even mentioning his name. Another girl called him scary. But the school gave Power a second chance.
They were on the teacher's side. They weren't on the student's side. That's what I feel.
Seemed like an over touchy teacher.
And later on in the third paragraph, the letter writes that it indicates that Mr. Power could continue use of physical contact in certain circumstances that are listed there. You see that?
Yes.
Was that also listed? Are those terms taken out of the governing board policy?
No.
But there was actually no district policy that actually provided that physical contact could be used when redirecting students. Is that accurate? That there was no policy that said that?
It's accurate that there's not a policy that states this.
And did you follow up with any of the students that you interviewed or had knowledge were involved in the February 2021 reports after learning of Mr. Power's retirement?
No.
Did you offer or request any services be provided to those students and victims of Mr. Power?
No.
You never did your own investigation about Mr. Power and his class, right?
No.
You never visited his classroom.
No.
Did you ever actually look into what was being taught during these theater tech classes for 7th and 8th graders?
No.
Do you know Mr. Power?
No.
You ever met him before?
No.
You know anything about his disposition?
No.
Did you know anything about his attitude toward complying with policies or rules?
No.
But you did conclude that this letter of direction would be enough to stop the actions that were causing students distress,
Yes.
including the material after the first 5 reports from other students, that there was nothing in any of that material that indicated to you that there had been any conditions present at the district that could be harmful to learning.
I didn't.
Did you even consider, maybe I should contact Dr. Floon, walk down the hall and ask him about these things that look like they could be? This could
No,
have been a
I
threat to
didn't.
student health.
No, I didn't.
Between the time that you handed him a letter of direction and the time that he ultimately left the school,
I
he's
had
no
not
longer
been back.
working there. Sorry.
I had not been in the classroom.
So let me just clarify that. I think what you said was, I had not been in the classroom.
I had not been in the classroom.
Were you or were you not monitoring him personally after you gave him the letter of direction?
I was not.
Is I can't get off the fact, undisputed as far as I can tell, that there were only 5 students interviewed. I can't imagine anyone calling that what was termed a good faith decision or reasonable effort when we're talking about inappropriate touching of minors by a person in a position of authority, a teacher. These acts have been called it, that, this, behavior, actions, and I still don't know what it, that, this, behavior, and actions we're talking about because only 5 of 13 students were interviewed. There are 8 other students at least, and this I'm only talking about the February incident. There are 8 other students at a minimum that should have been interviewed. I think that it's grossly negligent for no follow-up to have been performed with those kids.